Hello, welcome back to my channel. I call my channel Common Sense Creation because it is a channel that I like to share my reasons for why I believe in God based on the evidence that I find, that I continue to find. Okay, and I call it common sense because you don't need to be a PhD or any kind of biology, chemistry major to question things and to draw your own conclusions. If you like what I talk about on this channel, please consider subscribing, clicking the like button. If you make a comment, the only thing I ask is, and I don't mind when people disagree with me, because when somebody disagrees, to me, it shows that there's a degree of searching there. Of trying to find validity. Okay, the only thing I ask is that you keep very civil, you be very kind in your comments. Otherwise, I'm just going to remove them. You know, we preach about tolerance, but yet, as a Christian, a lot of people that disagree, whether you're an atheist or an agnostic or believe in a different religion, we're met with a lot of hostility. Okay, so I just say keep it kind. I don't mind if you disagree with me. Just please keep it kind. Okay, thank you. Now, I wanted to talk first about something that really has been disturbing a lot of pastors and parents and grandparents like me. I'm a grandfather. Is the young people today leaving the faith or falling into this way of life or that way of life? And why is that? And nobody can figure out why that is. And I would like to use myself as an example, because I'm a very, the only thing that's different between me as an elder and you as a younger is just some years. I've gone through skepticism, I've gone through every frustration, every emotion that you're going through or that you will go through. I've gone through it. Okay, so we kind of have a common ground here. I would like to first use my education in Christianity. I went to Catholic school for 8 years, and religion was one of the subjects from grades 1 all the way up. But the thing is, we were educated. I like to say we were indoctrinated. We were told what to believe, and I'm a very skeptical person, always was a skeptical person, and I've always had a lot of questions. And whenever I had a question, it was always met with, well, you just believe it, you don't question it. And it's wrong to question God. And so a lot of times I never had my questions answered, okay? But why I think that a lot of young people are leaving the Christian faith is because how we as parents, neighbors, grandparents, etc., friends, okay, maybe the way that we conduct ourselves it causes them to see, well, if that's Christianity, I don't want any part of it. Okay, I have always been taught that God is a very kind, very compassionate God, and we were taught to fear God. Okay, but it was never explained that, many words in the Bible were used in different contexts. Okay, it would say something like, a man who burns with lust. Okay, so we think of burning as fire, but that's not what it meant. Okay, so the word fear was love, respect. Okay, but we were taught to fear God. In other words, he's going to love you, but don't take him off, or he's going to rain fire and brimstone on you. Okay, and so I always had this hanging over my head saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to step out of line. God's going to chastise me. Okay. And it took me quite a long time to make sense out of any and all of this. And I don't think I was ever considered an atheist, but I had a lot of questions. Maybe some people would say, well, maybe you were an agnostic. I don't know. But anyways, so we were taught always, to fear God. And two instances that really, and it stuck with me even today, and this happened many years ago. One was, I'm a retired paramedic, and I would have to go to Mass sometimes around my schedule. So in the evening one Sunday, I went to Mass, and there was a guest priest in this parish who had a prosthetic leg. And what really stuck with me was when it was said that, well, that happened. You lost your leg because God loves you. And I was just blown away by that. Another time was whenever I was at Mass, and this was in my home parish, and there were new people coming into the Catholic faith, and the priest was reading off this litany of do's and don'ts. Do you reject Satan? Do you reject all of his deeds, etc., etc.? And he came to the part where he says, and will you accept all the sufferings that God will send you? And I'm thinking, wait a minute. We've got a kind and merciful God that just sends you sufferings and sufferings and sufferings. So after many years of soul searching, of reading the Bible, of listening to scientific presentations, etc., etc., here's what I've come up with. And I have a feeling that it is a pretty good answer. Yes, we serve a kind and merciful God, okay, who gives us free will. Okay, we were blessed with free will. We can choose to serve him. We can choose to not serve him, to believe, not to believe, okay? But along with free will goes a heck of a lot of things. Crime, sickness. I had a brother who passed away from lung cancer. Now, I can curse God for it and say, why did you do that to him? But the reality is he smoked himself into an early grave. Okay, so that kind of goes along with free will. Or crime. I've heard a lot of people say, well, if there was a God, why could Hitler have killed so many people? Okay, and as bizarre as it may sound, he too was blessed with free will. We can choose to do good. We can choose to do evil. Okay, that goes with free will. I'm not saying that God does not intervene, okay, because I firmly believe, and I've had it in my life where he intervened. Sometimes it's not the way that we would like the intervention, okay, but the way he intervenes, if he intervenes, it has to be in a way where he does not violate his own righteousness. I'll try to give you an example. If I told my young child that the next time that the principal calls because you were fighting or disruptive in class, etc., etc., you're going to be grounded for 2 weeks. You're going to have to stay in your room for 2 weeks, okay? But if I went back on that, it's a lie. I mean, plain and simple, it's a lie. If I tell my child this is what's going to happen, and then I don't do that when they do step out of line, it's a lie. Plain and simple. I don't like the way it ends up sometimes. I don't like the way life ends up sometimes. But that goes with free will, okay? Now, a couple of years ago, there was a well-known comic that took his own life. And when you sit in my chair looking at his material riches and his personality, and I say to myself, how could he do that? He had everything to live for. Or young kids that turn to this, drugs or whatever. And I really think it's because people today are hurting. They're hurting today. They don't have any hope, okay? And science doesn't offer any hope, okay? Science offers no hope. If an atheist believes that there is no God, there is no afterlife, and he's going through bad times in his life, he could take his life because he may figure, I'm just not going to know, I'll be dead, life will cease, okay? But I'm going to tell you that we have reason to hope, okay? We have reason to hope. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to create a video where I'm just talking about, well, this is why I believe this and this and this and this, and have people disagree with me. I want to come out there and say, look, I understand that you may be hurting, okay, because a lot of times I was hurting, confused, okay, and feeling that there was absolutely no hope at all. And you could fall into some very dark practices, even suicide, and that's such a terrible decision to make, okay? So I guess what I'm saying is I could see why the young have been leaving the faith, because parents, grandparents, neighbors, whatever, we haven't lived the way we were supposed to be living. You know, a young boy learns how to be a husband and father by watching his father. And if his father is a jerk, he's going to be a jerk. That's just how we learn. Okay. And so we have led a very poor example that we gave to our young people. And I think that's why they've left the faith, because if this is God and this is what Christianity is, I want no part of it. Okay? But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. We do serve a kind and loving God. Let me give you a for instance, one of the scriptures talks about a woman who was caught in the act of adultery, and she was going to be stoned, and they tried to trick Jesus up by saying, oh, you know, the law says she's to be stoned. What do you say? Okay. And Jesus basically said, well, you know, if any one of you hasn't committed a sin, then throw the first stone. And naturally, nobody could throw a stone because we're all sinners. We're all imperfect. Okay. And reason why that scripture is very, very good to me is because, you know, Moses wrote 600 and some laws based on the 10 Commandments, and that was one of the laws. You're caught in adultery, you are stoned. But God was never in favor of that. A, because Jesus proved himself to be God, and B, if that was a law that Jesus, God, agreed with, he would have said, then let's start the show, let's stone her. But he was not in favor of that, okay? And thanks to people like us who have led poor and gave you poor examples, okay, by what we do, what we say, etc., we've given a very bad picture of what Christianity is. In the New Testament, and if you read the New Testament and you read about Jesus, all he talks about is forgiveness, not condemnation. He wants us. He's a kind and merciful God. And that's what Christianity is about. The truth is, that's what it is about. Not by examples that we've displayed. And I'm just as guilty. I can have a potty mouth just like anybody else. And I've certainly said a litany of bad things that would probably make the devil blush. Okay? And I admit it. And I'm sorry that I gave that example. Okay? Now, okay, and quickly, so really what I want to just say too, so why do I believe in God? And why do I believe in God? And science is saying this, and science is saying that. You have to look at it on the other end of the coin. There's creation scientists that have lots of letters after their name. They're saying this, the other scientists are saying this, okay? So you don't need a bunch of letters after your name. In short, there's many reasons why I can say that this is why Christianity and existence of God is true. But in short, you look at the way things are, the order of things. The Earth goes around 365 times for a year. It spins 24 hours in a day. Astronomers can tell you to the day when the next comet's going to appear. Everything is so ordered, and you can't get me to believe that that all happened by accident. Okay? And I'll talk about more things in future videos. But what I will close by saying this: if you're searching, if you are really searching, you must open your mind, okay? If you are just looking purely in a naturalistic world, you'll never find God. But if you open your mind and you really search for him, it may take you a day, a week, maybe a year. But if you really search, you're going to find him, okay? So that's all I'm going to talk about today, okay? And try to be safe. Keep your social distancing. We're still under this corona stuff. And so be safe. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you next time. God bless you.